This is the Transcend in Life podcast with your host, J.M. Ryerson, taking you from fear to freedom.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to a Tuesday tune-up with the Ryersons. We are taking every Tuesday, and we're starting to really take the questions that we're receiving about some of the interviews that we've put out, some of the blogs that are written on the website. And I wanted to bring Lisa on because I love having the give and take. So what's up, Lisa? How we doing?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm doing great. I wanted to talk about practical tips and suggestions for career and personal development. It's one of the most common questions that I get is like, okay, cool. What are some tangible tips that I can actually do? So what are some of yours? What are, when it comes to personal advancement, what are some of the practical tips people can be doing?
So for personal development, I would say that, I have a goal of making sure I read a book every other month. So usually it takes me about 2 months to get through a book, but I have been able to do that for the past 2 years. And so that is always good because it, just gives you new nuggets, things to sharpen your tools per se, and kind of keep your attitude and activity going.
So you're reading a book every single month?
No, every 2 months.
Oh, pardon me. How dare. And this is obviously something that comes very natural to you, that you love to read, and knocking out that book is no problem.
No, I actually, my goal, right, every other month. So August 31st, which was just a few days ago, August 31st was, I had to finish a book. And I think it was August 20th. I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And so I just sat and I read that book and I got it done by August 31st.
So what you're saying is you procrastinated to a degree, gave yourself about 5 days, but ultimately you accomplished that goal. So let me ask you, procrastinator, how was the experience of the book? Did you get some nuggets, and what did you read?
Yeah, so I read You're a Badass Every Day by Jen Sincero, and it was great. It was an easy read, actually. I probably should have been able to read that whole entire thing within, a few days. Just great everyday nuggets to, it's like positive reinforcement on a daily basis. And so I liked it because it was short chapters. It was an easy read. She told funny stories. And it was just, things I've always heard in the past, but it was a great reminder.
So everyone that listens to Transcend in Life knows I like to read. That's a big part of it. But you have watched this for years and somewhat resisted reading. What made you decide to get into it and really give it a go?
Well, besides the fact that you told me that the top leaders in the world all read. So I figured if I wanted to be a good leader, I better start reading. It's really finding the books that I enjoy. And that's the thing. Sometimes I'll find a book and, within 1 or 2 chapters, I don't care for it. And I'll just stop and pick something else. And so we have an entire library, people, in our house. There's millions of books. And so I get to go pick the ones I like.
Well, and as you know, that's not something I'm great at. If I start a book, this is why I challenge people. If you give me a book recommendation, I hope it's good, because I commit to reading every single page that's given to me. You have that ability to say, nope, not feeling it, moving on, going on to the next one.
Yep. Life is too short to read something that you don't enjoy. That's my thought process on a lot of things.
All right, so I know what I need to work on. If I'm not liking it, put it down, walk away. I will continue to work on that. So one of the things I talk about in one of the blogs that I wrote is finding a coach or a mentor to really help you through that. I know you've had various coaches, mentors. You continue to have those in your life today. You have a group of gals that you chat with at least monthly, if not more frequently. I actually don't know. Can you talk about what you've done finding a coach or a mentor and what that's done for you?
Yeah, it's really important to surround yourself, right, with like-minded people. And I am so fortunate, like you were saying, I have Krista Neely and Holly Woods, who I've known for years. We were business partners for many years for Women of Wealth. And when we ended WOW, I wanted to make sure we continued having those talks every single month. And so we do. We don't miss it. We have a mastermind chat every single month. It's about an hour. Sometimes we talk about our personal things that we're going through. So a lot of times it's business, but at the end of the day, we know that we have a support system for each other. It's pretty amazing because sometimes I'll have a challenge or what I think is a challenge and I'll bring it up to them and they'll have solutions right away. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so easy for them to figure that out, right? And vice versa. So it's really important to have that. I'm constantly, asking, you're one of my coaches, I feel. I constantly come to you for things. I talk to my dad about a lot of things. And so it's really important to have coaches and mentors in your life to just keep you on track and keep you moving.
So I think everybody's heard that at some point, and they're like, okay, I get it. I should have somebody to rely on, which they should. I want to talk about something that you've done. You've taken, I don't know what you call it, a guide, a spiritual guide, a healer, somebody that you lean on when, look, something's just off. And I think it's cool for them to know, hey, people are using different ideas and ways to interpret the world. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. And so Heather, I call her my woo-woo doctor. So it's something that, I was never very, I would say, spiritual growing up, really. My dad is a Buddhist, and I went to Episcopalian school and then Catholic high school and continued on and was in a Christian group in college because all my athlete friends and I, just kind of got together every single week and did that. But I was never really I didn't even know about this whole other arena of spirituality and, woo-woo-ness, shall we call it. And so I'd met Heather through a friend of mine, probably, I guess, 8 years ago now, maybe even, no, longer than that. I want to say it's probably been about 12 years. And she kind of told me what she did, and it was never of interest to me. And it was probably until about 6 years ago where I decided to sit down with her, and it was incredible. Like, she is just super spiritual. She knows everything. It's kind of freaky sometimes how she knows everything. But she has a very special way of being able to just get rid of bad energy, things that are blocked up maybe in my system. She just clears it, right? And anytime I have, a tough time or I'm going through a challenging time, I can call her, and it's immediate after that 1 hour phone call that I just feel so much better. And it puts me in a great headspace to move on and to think logically.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And the whole idea of woo-woo, and I'm using air quotes right now, I don't care if it works for you. Use it, right? And that's something that I think most people have to just, well, that doesn't make sense logically or scientifically. Guess what? It works for me. And I've watched it work for you because you believe wholeheartedly what she has read, or the energy is something that you and I definitely talk a lot about, that, it works for me. So, all right. So there's definitely value in having that support system, having that mentor, somebody you can go to. Another thing that I've always talked about, and something that I think as you do personal development, asking for feedback. That sounds so easy, but wow, that's not necessarily fun. So do you continuously, whether you ask for feedback or I just give you unsolicited advice, what's your suggestion on getting and receiving feedback?
Yeah, it's hard, right? It's really hard to hear sometimes people's feedback. But what I've realized is over the years, regardless if I've asked for it or not asked for it, I have been able to take it, and I don't like it, right? Sometimes I don't like the things that are being said to me or about me, but I take it to heart, and I go back and I process. And it's pretty amazing because once you start looking within and you go, yeah, you know what? That is a flat side of me. And I'm going to start working on that. And it just makes it that much better. Because if you continue to avoid things to work on or whatnot, then things aren't going to get better. So I think it is really important to get that constant feedback. I typically don't ask for it. I just get it from you. Don't like it most of the time, but you're right. I would say 95% of the time.
Whoa. Stop. Let's put this in the annals of history. JM was right. Everyone hear it. Just kidding.
Just one time.
So yeah, and one of the things about receiving feedback is the ability to actually hear it, not get defensive. Even if the initial visceral reaction is F you, like I'm not that way. If they're really giving you that feedback, typically it's out of a place of love that they want you to get better. So do you have any suggestions for learning how to take feedback? Because it's not easy. It's a learned skill.
Yeah, I think from my upbringing, I have really, really thick skin. So very seldomly will I ever get offended. I think sometimes it's more personal when you, JM, you're telling me things. I think I'm kind of like, wait, who are you to tell me things? But for the most part, it's, I have that thick skin and I've kind of gotten used to that. But it is hard. And I would say, I would take a breather. Like I would just kind of take a breath and go, okay, I know it's coming. And so I'm just going to sit and listen. I'm not, going to react, which is really hard because I'm a very reactive human by nature. But I've learned not to react. And then I just take it, and takes me a few days, to process. And everybody has their own processing ways, right? And I've realized that my way of processing is really talking to people and talking it through. So I have my very safe group of closest friends, and of course you, and I bounce ideas back and forth, and getting understanding. And after a few days, I'm like, okay, cool, let's start working on it.
It is a learned skill, guys. So definitely give yourself some grace and just know that it's going to hurt a little bit. But if you're asking for it, I promise it's coming from love. Normally, I always stop with 3, but you started with the book, and I got to add one more in there. Investing time and money, actually having a plan towards, I'm investing this much towards my career growth, towards my personal growth. You and I talk about that. We literally do a budget every year for this is how much we're going to do, and we do it come hell or high water. That wasn't necessarily something that we learned in college. Where did that even come from?
Are you talking about Psy, how that started?
I'm talking about Psy. I'm talking about Advance Your Reach. I'm talking about all the various different personal and professional development courses that we've done through the years.
Yeah. So, I think for me, it started with Psy. And I know you've been doing a lot of personal development, through your life. But for me, that was really where I started with Psy seminars. And that was, 6 years ago when it was brought to me. And it's this course that you can go to, and it's a 3-day course. And honestly, I didn't know anything about it. But I'm also a person that will help out friends. And anytime friends are telling me, oh, hey, there's this class and we're doing this game. It was a whole thing where they were doing this game and they had to enroll X amount of people. And I go, okay, I'll totally sign up. That's fine. Sounds great. And so going to this class, not knowing what it was all about, it was the most impactful 3 days of my life. Just amazing opening of myself and being able to look within. Because I think for, the first 31 years of my life, or maybe more than that, I was really just kind of not wanting to look within, right? Nope, everything's good. Everything's perfect. We don't need to fix anything. We're just going to continue on. But underlining that, there's a lot of programs that we go through as a child, our upbringing, not saying that parents are, bad. They're wonderful people. But we all come with baggage. And I think it's really important to, whether it's Psy, whether it's any of these other professional and personal growth seminars, it's always good to continue that. And we've been doing it every single year because if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So it's really important to, whatever it is, you invest in yourself.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to dispel for people is they feel like, I need to have the most life-altering, like you said, 3 days of the most impactful thing ever. I love to hear that. But that's not always the experience. What I would suggest to people is when you do go to the Tony Robbins, the landmarks, the various other, you are meeting like-minded people that are growing, that want to continue to get better. That's who you're looking for. It's not necessarily at your country club. Maybe it is. It's not necessarily at the gym. Maybe it is. But typically you're not in that space to where you're having those conversations. That's what that gets lost in translations, I feel like. And that's definitely been our experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of my dearest friends today, Lena Bashke, we had met her at the 7-day, it was an advanced course besides seminars. And till this day, it's like, if I, have a conversation that needed to be I call her, right? Because she gets it, right? We went through the same experience together and she gets it. And same with, all the ladies that, we all went to the women's leadership seminar. It's a different language, I think, that you kind of learn to speak, and different, without giving too much information, but just these experiences that you don't have in the normal world, right? It's only if you were there. And so it's quite powerful to know that you have a group of sisters for life that you can turn to and go, hey, this is what I'm going through. Please support me in this, and vice versa.
That's so cool. It is a fun thing to watch that network grow. So you guys, you got it right there. Reading, that's a simple one. Asking for feedback, finding a mentor, coach, support group, and ultimately investing your time and money. 4 practical tips for you to continue your personal growth, your career growth. Lisa, I appreciate you being here. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Hey, you guys, go to Let's Go Win, letsgowin.com, download and do the free positive work-life assessment tool. I promise you, I do that monthly. It's a check-in. It's something that we can all use to really gain perspective on where we're going and really help us check in on what's happening. So until next time, you guys, continue to transcend in life. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening. If this content is delivering value to you, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review us. That helps us build this community, and that is what we are all about. Building this community as big as we can, helping as many people as we can, and deliver as much value as possible. Be sure to head over to transcendinlifepodcast.com for information on my coaching courses, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Let's Go Win 365. Let's go win and transcend in life.
This is the Transcend in Life podcast with your host, J.M. Ryerson, taking you from fear to freedom.